This is MikeBot. Today I'm gonna finally be doing my unboxing on the Bambu P1P printer. As you saw in my previous unboxing videos and various little videos, I did one on the Bambu X1C, previous to that the AnkerMake M5. I am officially getting rid of my AnkerMake M5s. In my opinion, they are terrible printers. I moved on to Bambu, hence why I now have the P1P. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the unboxing on this in just a second. I will have another video coming up on spare parts very soon, but for now, make sure you start out with getting yourself an SD card. I've read the one that's built into this is terrible, and it's a really small card. So get yourself a 128, 256, or 512 gigabyte SD card and save yourself some headache down the road. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the unboxing here, and then I'm gonna tilt the box towards the cameras. All right, grab the initial shot here. So as usual, it's really nicely packaged. Start by taking out some of the padding here. Make sure you save your P1P box if there's ever an issue. I believe Bambu requests that you have the original box or they won't exchange or return it. I don't expect this to have as many accessories or fancy things as the X1C with AMS combo had, so I suspect this will be a fairly quick unboxing. Okay, so I'm just gonna start by opening up this bag on top here. First things first, we have the user manual. It said on the box that it came in that there was glass, but I don't know what could be glass. Maybe the LCD screen, I don't know. So I'm going to start with the accessory box first. So another part of this video that you're all going to see at the end, I printed an enclosure for this already using my Bambu X1C. I printed the pegboard enclosure using carbon fiber filament. So you're gonna see either a second video or a second part to this video on the installation of that process. All right, so first thing we have, they actually give you a full spool this time. The other ones were 250 milligrams on the X1C. Power cord, PTFE tubing, the same toolkit as X1C. Safety guidelines, spare 0.4 millimeter stainless steel nozzle, the actual screen. Let's see what this thing looks like. This thing is tiny. So there's the screen. And then we have PTFE tube anchors, nozzle wipers, nozzle cutters, hot end removal tools, the spool holder, which I will actually need for this printer, some extra screws, some lubricant. Oh, and they gave me a glue stick too, which is nice. Let's see what kind of glue stick that was in a second. Just take all the screws out. And the magnets for the scraper. Oh, they give you stuff for the printed phone holder as well. So that's for the spool holder. For hot end, don't need that. PTFE anchor, I may need that. Nozzle wiper. I thought there was nozzle cutters. I'm not seeing nozzle cutters here, it's just nozzle wipers. Does this thing not have a filament cutter? Oh well. Okay. Proceed with that shortly. Let me just see which glue stick they gave me with this one. Ooh, sweet. They gave me the newer glue stick, the liquid one. So one thing I'm going to mention right off the bat This printer is significantly lighter. Like, not even a comparison. It's very, very, very light. All right, so I've cleaned up all the wrapping and stuff from the P1P box, and now I am going to proceed with the next steps of the installation. So I'm going to begin with installing the screen, and then I'll go over the SD card. We'll do a spool holder on the back, then I'll set up the PTFE tubing and my printed pegboard enclosure. So the screen is pretty simple. You connect the cable into the back, put it in, and move to the left. So here's the cable, and it just clips in one way. And make sure you're careful. I don't think they're very durable clips or anything, so put it in until you hear the 2 snaps. I don't know if you heard that on the mic. Push the cable in, just to keep things nice and clean. Line it up, push in to the left, and just like that, the screen is connected. So up here, we have the up here we have the micro SD card. This is a very cheap generic SD card. What I did is I went on my computer, took all the files off, put my new 256 gigabyte SD card here that I bought. This is a much higher quality one and has a 10-year warranty actually. I'll put a link, Amazon link in the description below. So I transferred all the files onto here, and I'm just gonna put it in the place of the one that came with the printer. And it just clips right in. So you press down, pops out, pull it out. So next, I'm gonna install the spool holder. And while I was going through everything, I noticed that they actually give you the screws for the enclosure. So you don't need to have your own screws sticking around, so that's great. So here we go. So right here, when I go to install the auxiliary fan, which isn't in yet, it's gonna be in my must-have parts video coming soon. What you wanna do, you wanna unscrew this, and then you mount the auxiliary fan. I'll have a whole video on that, so don't worry about it. So for now, we're gonna start with the spool holder. I'm gonna remove those 2 screws right here and put the spool holder in its place. When you install the auxiliary fan, you will need to remove it again. But I do wanna get a couple prints in before the auxiliary fan comes in, so go ahead and just do that now. I don't really have any plans to use the AMS unit on the P1P, but I do have 2 AMSs right now that are on the X1C. So down the road, I may split them up, but right now I'm trying to enjoy my up to 8 color prints on the X1C, and it does them pretty well. So the spool holder here, it actually says top, so it tells you that that's a side that goes up there. So next, I'm going to do the PTFE tube anchor. So the PTFE tube anchor goes up here, and I'll just zoom in on my camera. I'll zoom in on my camera where the connector goes up here. And that one comes with the necessary screws as well. So when you're installing this, put the screw to the right in first and measure it off, like adjust it so it's straight. If you put the other screw in, it makes it a little bit harder to adjust it. So for this part, take note of the screws. One is bigger than the other. Not significantly, but just slightly bigger. And when you look at the 2 of them, you'll kind of see it. You want the smaller of the 2 screws to go on the left-hand side, and the larger one goes on the right. So once that's mounted, the next step is to take your PTFE tube and connect it into the coupler and into the tool head. You want to make sure these go in really tight. So I'm just going to try to get a better view here. So one end goes into the printer, secure it in, kind of just touch it to make sure it's secure. And then the other end goes in up here. All right, and the last step is to unlock the hotbed. So I'm just gonna turn this around again. And then for the hotbed unlock, you just look for the 3 arrows pointing towards the screws. And you unscrew them. And your hotbed is unlocked. Once the hotbed is unlocked and you're doing your initial power on, the bed will move and then you'll be able to remove the foam pads. So take note that they give you the Bambu double-sided texture plate. So you don't get the cool plate like on the X1C. Make sure you remove the tape in the back here. And that's where your filter would go if you have one. But I don't even know if this one's designed to have a filter go in there, so I don't think it's ever really gonna get used. And that's basically it. Now I'm ready to power it on, do a firmware update and all that, but I'm not gonna do that yet. I'm gonna go ahead and install my my carbon fiber printed pegboard, and then we're gonna power it on, do the firmware updates, go through the setup, do my first print, and then stay tuned for future videos for spare parts and auxiliary fan installation. Okay, I am going to power on the printer now, add it to the Bambu app or onto my profile, do a firmware update, get that foam removed, and then install the enclosure that I printed. I couldn't put it on because the foam was in the way. It didn't click in until afterwards. So I'm gonna start by, I've already plugged it in, so I'm gonna start by clicking the power on the back, flipping it on, and now it's starting to boot up. So before you use, make sure you boot, and then you carefully click next. Oh, it's not touch screen, that's annoying. So now I need to make sure I remove the screw fixed to the hotbed. Okay, done that. I'm gonna choose North America. Now it wants me to scan the QR code on the Bambu Handy app. So I'm gonna open up the Bambu Handy app. I have an X1C right now, so I'm gonna click add, and it sees it right away. So I'm gonna click confirm binding, click pair. Now I just wait for it. I just have to hit pair on here. Now it's just a waiting game. Wait for it to do everything. This screen is terrible. Okay, it's asking me to select the Wi-Fi. I'm just giving it my SSID and password. Now it's sending it off to the printer. Still binding. Oh, there we go. Please confirm you've removed the screws. Confirm. And now it wants me to click start to do a self-test. Okay, so now if I go into my app, you can see the two different printers. So one thing I want to add is this one comes with the LED light and the camera built in. It's the new update that Bambu provides, which is pretty nice. Doesn't have the LiDAR or the advanced camera, but it's got the basics. So I'm just gonna let it do a self-test now. Test failed. What do you mean test failed? Test. I'm just gonna see if I can log into the camera here on the app. Oh yeah, there it is. Actually, the camera's pretty good. It said it's a low rate camera, but it still looks pretty decent. So I'm gonna let it run its self-test for the next 10 minutes or so. Once that's all done, I'm gonna shut it down and resume with the enclosure. I'll leave the cameras rolling while the self-test does its thing. Okay, so the self-test is done now. Now I'm gonna proceed with the firmware update, and I'll let the camera roll while it does this update, and then I will proceed with the enclosure installation. So first thing I'm going to do is assemble the enclosure, and then I'm going to mount it onto the P1P. So I'm starting with the B6 ones. So everything is just supposed to snap together nicely. I will slowly work at this, and it'll just be sped up. You guys will just see this in fast motion. It's not really something I'm gonna walk through The instructions are online, and it's just basically everything snaps together, and then I'll start talking again when I get to the screw mounting portion. So I've assembled both sides now. It was a little difficult to do while filming, so I had to cut the filming. Basically, once you print all your pieces, they all snap together. So next I'm gonna have to cut the camera here. I'm gonna mount them, use a bunch of screws that came in to mount the sides onto each thing. Once I am done mounting everything, I will resume the recording and proceed with the next steps. All right, so I finally finished putting the enclosure together. It's a bit of a Frankenstein, unfortunately, but good enough. I wasted a lot of carbon fiber printing it. I regret it. I should have gone with PLA. So this is good for a beta enclosure. I'm gonna probably do something better down the road. I am not sure which one I'm gonna print next, but I'm thinking something along the lines of the board cube at the moment. So anyway, the printer is now officially set up. The enclosure has been mounted. I had to make some adjustments, screw in a couple extra holes and whatnot. But it'll do for a temporary cube for now, temporary enclosure for now. So here's a quick little overview of it, as you can see. So next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install, I bought these anti-vibration feet for my X1C, but it came with a set of 2. So I'm actually gonna mount them on this as well. So I'll do that on camera, but I will put a link in my video below for the full video of installing these anti-vibration feet. They really help reduce the sound level drastically when you're printing. Bambu claims that both printers, even though it vibrates more, the printer vibrates more when you're printing, the anti-vibration compensation on the printers will still allow you to have clean prints, and sure enough, the X1C has proven that to me. So before I do that, I want to point out a couple quick things. I printed a poop chute for this printer right here. That's gonna get put on once I put it in its final resting location. And I've printed the auxiliary fan mount. Look for that video coming very soon. And that video is gonna be installing the auxiliary fan as well as a few other upgrades I purchased. And that's just going to be an all-in-one video. It'll be spare parts, installation of the auxiliary fan, installation of the tool head, the chain, and a couple other really neat things. I don't want to ruin the surprise. So I will tilt the printer over really quick just to show you how to do this. So basically you want to rip out the old feet. And I can't install these right now because they will fall off by the time I bring it down to the basement to my 3D print room. So look for that full video. Look for that full video in the links below. This is a very, very lightweight printer, and because I used carbon fiber, even with the little enclosure I put here, it's still pretty lightweight. So I'm gonna go ahead and store these feet away in case I ever need them in the future, but for the most part you don't need them again once you put the anti-vibration feet on. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was very informative. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. It's greatly appreciated. I am not sponsored. Everything I do on my channel is purchased out of pocket because this is my hobby. I like to make videos for everyone. I like to educate people, and I like to make my videos fun. I add a lot of comedy into my videos. This one not so much because it was a little stressful. But anyway, you have any questions or comments, once again, leave them below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can if I have an answer for you. And if I don't, I will usually find you an answer before I reply. Thanks again. MikeBot out.